Hey everyone, welcome to Cape Town. Finally made it. Here I am at the hotel, and this is where the Great World Race begins for us. We're all meeting here next couple of days before we fly to Antarctica on Saturday, back here to Cape Town on Sunday for a marathon, and then many more marathons to come. As promised, today is video number 3 in my series, and we'll be talking about food and fuel required for ultra running, marathons, and of course the Great World Race.
If you like what you see here, please hit the subscribe button below to be the first to know about new videos and free premium content.
Okay, welcome to today's topic, food and fuel for the endurance athlete. And this covers everything from ultra running, marathon running, Ironman cycling. It's an area that causes huge problems for many endurance athletes, and they really shouldn't be suffering at all. It is actually really simple, and most of the time you're just being sold a load of rubbish through companies trying to sell you products and all sorts of ideas that just don't make any sense. So let's put some of those myths to bed today, talk about what you should do and how to conquer your nutrition. Okay, so food versus fuel. Two very different things in my world. Food, what you eat every day, your meals, your snacks. Fuel, the stuff you use during training and racing to fuel your moving body. So food, we've got to look at the main goal of why we eat, right? Let's get basic with this. It's to teach your body to burn fat. We want to balance your blood sugar, improve your immune system, help you recover better, give you all the nutrients you need to stay healthy and all the energy you need to perform at your best. So in terms of macronutrients, that's about 30% fat, 30% protein and 40% carbohydrate from all your meals and snacks. You want that ratio so that you don't get any spikes in insulin, your body can access fats for energy, and yet you're storing enough carbohydrate in your muscles to help you recover and go again. So you want variety from your nutrition, but you also want consistency. Things that you know you digest well, give you the energy you require, help you recover, and things that you just basically tolerate. It doesn't matter if you train for 1 hour or for 5 hours. To me, your nutrition stays the same. That is, you eat the same meals and same snacks. All that changes when training volume changes is the amount of fuel you take during sessions and quickly post sessions for recovery. And we'll talk about fuel in a minute. So when you put your food and fuel together, that's how you get your specific, if you like, optimal mix for the day that you've got in front of you. If you're having a low intensity zone 2 kind of day, you might still have 30% protein, 30% fat and 40% carbs because you're not needing much carbohydrate, you're just wanting balanced blood sugar to access fats for energy. On a high intensity day, your carbs are going to increase, but from fuel, not from your food. That's the difference, right? So you're still eating 40, 30, 30, but you're going to might be up at 50, 60% total carbohydrate over the course of the day because you've been taking a lot more fuel in during that training session. So let's talk about 2 areas that create a lot of confusion for athletes and 2 myths that are out there that you just don't need to even tolerate as an endurance athlete. Number 1, keto. Number 2, carbo loading. Okay, so keto, this idea that you don't eat any carbohydrates and that somehow forces you to burn fats. Well, there's a little truth that if you eat moderate and less carbohydrate, you'll access more fats for energy. But 0 carbohydrate is ridiculous. Your body is a hybrid engine. You burn fats and carbs. And at all these different training intensities, you're going to need carbohydrates at certain points. So the idea of no carbs in your diet is ridiculous. If you're looking for a benchmark, I would say about 40% carbohydrate from your food. Carbohydrate loading. This is a theory that in taper, you just take in loads more carbohydrates and you can somehow store them in your body to use them on race day. It's a theory that's an old theory and it just doesn't work. All it does is make you gain weight, feel terrible because your whole digestion's changed because you're suddenly shoveling platefuls of pasta down your throat and you're just not getting any gains from it. You're better to keep your body stable, your normal nutrition, taper properly so your body recovers and rests, and then you store any carbohydrates you eat in your muscles rather than using them. The science is that about 500 grams of carbohydrate is what somebody, say my size, a 75 kilogram guy, can store while I'm resting. So that's not a lot of carbohydrates to take in if you think over the course of a week or more as you're tapering for your event. So carbo loading, waste of time, just ignore it, you don't need it. And especially if you're super well fat adapted in your training, you're not burning that much carbohydrate when you're exercising anyway. So what else can we talk about when it comes to food? Portion control. One of the key things, we're obviously trying to maintain lean muscle mass, but we're also trying to get rid of any excess body fat because it's just true, the lighter you are as an endurance athlete, the faster you're going to go. Fuel is what you consume during your training and your racing. And there's so many myths out there about this topic, it really confuses people. Not to mention the amount of products you're trying to be sold all the time. So let's keep it super simple and break it all down, right? All you need during exercise, carbohydrates, sodium, and water. You could add a little caffeine in there, you could add a little bit of amino acids and stuff, but it's not going to make that big a difference. If you've got no sodium, no carbs, no water, you've got a problem. So there's a very simple equation that will help you solve your fueling completely. It's that your body needs 1 to 1.2 grams of carbohydrate per kilogram that you weigh per hour during intense exercise. The idea that you can take in more than that amount of carbs per hour and function is, to me, very mythical. It's one of the biggest problems I see. You hear of the odd athlete who manages to eat anything they want when they're training and racing and seems to operate okay on it. And this is why some of these products are coming about now, where they're telling you can eat a lot more carbohydrate per hour. But the trouble is you can't digest that, especially under stress, and especially under intensities and heat. So the goal of fueling is very simple. You've got to hydrate, energize, and help you recover. Ideally, your training has made it so you're very fat adaptive and use plenty of fat at your target race pace. So really what we're looking for is a mathematical equation where you need no more than 1 gram of carbohydrate per kilogram you weigh per hour. If you take that with the right amount of water and the right amount of sodium for your needs, you've got the perfect formula, and it's not going to give you any digestive stress. It's going to help fuel optimal performance. So let's talk a little bit about sodium. And I've been doing sweat testing in my lab now for quite a long time and have quite a lot of data on this. It seems to me that there are 3 categories of sodium loss when it comes to people. People who lose very little, meaning under 500 milligrams an hour. People who lose a moderate amount, 500 to 1,000 milligrams an hour. And then those people who lose a lot of sodium, 1,000 to 2,000 plus milligrams per hour. If you're in that top category and you don't know it, it's a huge problem for your hydration, absorbing things. Just the mix that's in your body to make you perform optimally is just wrong. So you've got to know your sweat loss. That's where I think things like the H-drop sensor connecting straight to your watch give you a lot of data about exactly how much fluid you're losing and how much sodium you're losing. And if you've got that data and you're compiling it over time at different intensities, different heat levels, then you know what you're going to need in a certain race environment, and you can track it in real time and fuel that way. So fueling does change based on training intensity. When you're training in your zone 2, doing that base building, you do need less carbohydrates. You can probably get away with 0.5 of a gram per kilogram that you weigh per hour. When you are working at higher intensities, yes, you are burning more carbohydrate, so you do need to fuel with more carbs, as we said, up to 1 to 1.2 grams per kilogram that you weigh per hour. No more than that though, that's just going to create digestive stress. And you can't force that through your stomach lining. You want your drink mixes about 6 to 8% solution. Now the truth is there's loads of companies out there trying to sell you products or glucose polymers or maltodextrins that apparently you can absorb at much higher rates. I think there's very few people can actually do that. And when you put yourself under stress in the race environment with intensity, heat, adrenaline, all those things, your stomach tends to work much less efficiently anyway. So my advice is keep it simple. So there's also only a few really great products out there that are worth considering if you're an endurance athlete. Keep it simple. You just want sports science tested products, okay? And so avoid all the hype around the new things. Make sure you test everything in training and really find your simple formula that you can repeat. And my idea is that you should be self-sufficient on race day with all you need in terms of sodium and carbohydrates. So the only relying on the aid stations really for water. If I don't give a couple of product recommendations, people are going to be asking for them anyway, so might as well, okay? Maurten products, M-A-U-R-T-E-N, Maurten, superb products. I've never had a problem with them myself. Most of my athletes use that product. I'm not sponsored by them. I get nothing from them. I wish I did because they are a little on the expensive side, but they're really worth it. Their gels and their drink mixes are fantastic. And the other stuff is SIS. They've been around for years and they used to sponsor me 30 years ago with products. Superb sports science-based products. So if you're looking for a place to start there. So when you think about it, the wall in the marathon is just a self-created problem, right? If you run at the pace that you should be running at based on your conditioning, if you fuel it correctly, then you're not going to have a problem. The wall only happens when people run too fast and don't fuel correctly. So it's super easy to avoid. So then we've got to look at recovery too. Recovery is when you take your carbohydrate and you just add protein to it. Protein and carbohydrate in, they say, roughly a 4-to-1 ratio or thereabouts, 4 parts carb to 1 part protein, is what's going to get you recovering really quickly. And there's that golden window of 15 minutes after you've sort of done your high intensity training where you want to get that recovery formula into you. And this is where a smoothie or a drink mix can work really, really well. The key thing is keep away from the fat, because that's going to actually slow the absorption at that point. And you want that to be absorbed really fast, create an insulin spike so it gets into your muscles and is there for you, helping you recover. The other thing I found for recovery is essential amino acids, like a blend of all 9 essential amino acids for me and for the athletes I work with, really seems to make a massive difference when it comes to recovery. The other things to have in your back pocket, if you like, is something to help with cramping if your problem isn't sodium. So if you've cracked your sodium, your sweat rate, and you're still having cramping issues, that can be muscular adhesions, which you need to get worked out before you even do a race, or it can be a nerve function. And then if it's a nerve function thing, that's when you're turning to your pickle juice. Doesn't taste great, no one likes it, but it can be a real lifesaver when you need it. So what can we talk about regarding food and fuel, and specifically around the Great World Race? Ultramarathoning over several days in a row, okay? So the one thing is, of course, you've got to be able to digest food on the go. There's certain days when we are literally having to have breakfast at, I think, 2:30 in the morning to start a marathon at 5:30 in the morning. So this is not a normal environment. Some of the basic rules still apply, right? You still got to have enough time between your meal and actually going out there to run to be able to digest it and absorb it and get it through your system. And then, of course, it's the recovery afterwards. And part of that is we're recovering at 36,000 feet on a private jet flying around the world. So digestion is compromised. This is where we're going to be using digestive enzymes, tricks like small plates and small forks. So you have to eat slowly. You have to really, really chew so that this is properly optimized and digested nutrition. When you're looking at fuel in something like the Great World Race, what you're going to need to do is create some variety. So we have different options. So we have 3 different options that Michelle is going to use on different days to give her that taste variety, things to look forward to, but they're still very, very simple. We're not mixing products across companies. We have a day of company number 1, a day of company number 2, a day of company number 3. We're not cross-pollinating, if you like, all these different complicated sugars. We're keeping it simple so it can be digested each day. We also have some backup plans for when the standard sports nutrition just fails on us. And these are things that create a change of taste, but are still fairly easy to digest. And Tour de France cyclists are great at this, right? They'll have a sandwich. They might have a cheese and a turkey sandwich, something that's savory for a change, or some potato chips. The idea is that when your body shuts down and says no more sweet sugar, you've got something you can turn to that you can digest. Might not be as easy to digest as the gels you've been using, but it's something you can at least mentally tolerate and maybe even enjoy. On that backup option, there are no hard and fast rules. It has to be person specific. And it's something, again, you should test in training, like all your nutrition, all your fueling, you've got to test this over months and months to see what really works for you. So even your backup nutrition, test it in training, see if you can actually tolerate it when you're out there doing your exercise. So one of the things that we are focusing on the Great World Race, and I think this is a great tip for any ultra type of athlete, is to keep everything simple leading into the race, during the race, and when you're recovering afterwards as well. So that means basic, simple, somewhat bland foods that you know you can tolerate and you know you can digest. It's very repeatable for you. And then the same with the fuel, just keeping it simple. When we're keeping away from ketones and all the other little ideas that are possible out there, we just don't want to create any stomach distress or any problems with being able to digest and recover when flying around the world on this jet. So I will share with you a couple of tips, and these are things that anyone can do, but will really, really help your digestion and your performance. Number 1, chewing gum. When you're chewing, you're releasing saliva, and that's the first part of the digestive process. So I would say chewing gum is a great thing to use to help keep your palate clean and fresh, but also to help you be in digestion mode all the time. The next thing we're doing is using an L-glutamine and turmeric supplement to help keep the digestive system in just really good shape. We're also using digestive enzymes I mentioned before, and also a regularity formula, a very mild regularity formula to help move things so we can eliminate when we're traveling and flying under stress. So when it comes to the Great World Race, one of the specifics about this particular event that I think is really very much in our favor is the fact all the courses are looped courses. So for example, in Antarctica, it's a 10 times 4K loop. That's super easy because we always know we've got points where we're going to see Michelle and David along the course and be able to give them exactly the fueling they need. They're not going to have to carry a lot of stuff with them. We can actually track it and make sure we give them the right thing wherever they are in the race and whatever their needs are. So that's about it for food and fuel for endurance athletes. If there's anything I've missed, of which there's got to be something, right? Let me know in the comments and I'll add it to a future video. And on the next video, hopefully I get to do this before we leave on Saturday for Antarctica, I will be talking about sleep, travel, immune health, all these other things that help us hopefully put together stellar performances to really conquer this Great World Race.
If you like what you see here, please hit the subscribe button below to be the first to know about new videos and free premium content.